This is Neil Strauss, host of the hit true crime podcast To Live and Die in LA. We're back with a new season covering an intense and occasionally dangerous missing persons case that actually sent me down this rabbit hole of true crime investigations. From Tenderfoot TV, To Live and Die in LA Season 2 is available now. Listen for free on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Or binge the entire season ad-free on Tenderfoot Plus.
Your life, your hopes, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m. It's really none of our business, and it shouldn't be anyone else's. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Let's talk sports, Maxie. We are talking about first things first here. How about the Lynx? The Lynx have been playing pretty darn well of late here. They have been they've been having a good summer.
Yeah, they started so poorly, 0-4 to start the season, and then they got on track since then. And last night they didn't have Clarendon or Sylvia Fowles, and they beat a New York Liberty team. The game got close. It got tight there at the end, and Nafisa Collier made some plays. Bridget Carlton hit a great big three when they needed it the most, kind of got a shooter's roll on it, and that finished it. So, and the Lynx also have another thing in their favor. They've got one of the easiest schedules in the WNBA the rest of the way, so they should be able to close out pretty good. I think Vegas is the only team they play that's got a winning record the rest of the way. So they've set themselves up well, but you do want Sylvia Fowles and Clarendon back in the lineup because that's a deficiency that's hard to overcome in the long term, and they both missed last night's game.
They'll host the Sparks tomorrow night. Let's talk about the Vikings and their cut down. We mentioned this earlier this morning, but where's the Vikings? What is the Vikings' greatest need? Did I see that they picked up a tight end from the New York Jets?
Yeah, they pick up Herndon from the Chris Herndon from the I think it's Chris from the Jets, and he's kind of what you can get on the open market right now. They gave up a 6th-round pick. He came out of Miami, University of Miami, and they probably thought he'd be better than he is. Now, in fairness, the Jets have not been very good, so it's hard to. Sometimes you can get some steals on those things because you go, hey, if I can put that guy with Kirk Cousins, we got something. But it looks like he's the classic Band-Aid until Irv Smith gets back, and you put him with Tyler Conklin, and maybe you can do just enough to get through it, and certainly the tight end position is one that you can game plan around. You don't have to use your tight end that much, or you can use a specialist, a blocking tight end versus a receiving tight end. You can do some different things with your tight end and game plan around him, especially when you have Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. I was out at the Vikings yesterday. They had a charity event. It was wonderful. They did back to school for a group called People Serving People. And I got to tell you, John, I'll tell this story quickly. So I went out there because in selfishness, I wanted to interview Danielle Hunter and Justin Jefferson and Eric Kendricks. And they had this group from People Serving People on the south side of Minneapolis. And I started to talk to one of the young people from there. She just graduated from high school. And she said, I said, who are you out here with? And she said, my 3 brothers. And she pointed to them. She was like 18, and one was 16, and one was 4, and one was 8. And I said, what is People Serving People? How does it work? And she said, she's South Minneapolis, and it's kind of a shelter. And she said, we live in it's like a hotel room. We have 2 beds for my mom and the 4 kids. But she said, we got some good news because we got an air mattress the other day. So now everybody kind of has their own area to sleep in. And I thought, yeah, exactly. And I said, wow, man, you tell me about what problems we have what I have for problems. And my heart just sank, and the Vikings and Shields team together. And sometimes you look at this as, I don't know, marketing or whatever, but they're giving away these supplies. And you realize after that conversation how much that means to that family to have a backpack full of supplies and, that stuff that goes with it. So it was a day where I thought I went out there for one thing and my takeaway was much different.
We've all said this, that if we all put our troubles in the middle of the table and saw everybody else's, we would want to take ours back. That's just, it's like, okay, I'll deal with mine. So, yeah, thanks for bringing that home. I appreciate that, Maxie. You always tell the great story, so that's...
Oh, it was one of those where you go, okay, Lord, I get it. I came out here with my selfish, get the microphone, get the interviews with the players, and you said, no, I got a different plan for you here, buddy,
Yeah. We had a conversation with Athletic Director Mark Coyle in the last hour. The first part of this hour, I should say. But he was talking about ticket sales improving. What are you hearing along those lines?
Well, in a large part, I mean, to be honest with you, especially for football, and to an extent, volleyball, which plays tonight in a big game against Texas, it's difficult for the University of Minnesota, any place. How much do you market that right now when doctors are saying, don't go out and be around big crowds? You have to be really careful and sensitive if you're Mark Coyle of the University of Minnesota, because obviously you want to garner big crowds, and that's what it's supposed to be about, and it's back, and it's this, and it's that, but you have to be so sensitive to everything else that's going on around. So it's difficult and probably not fair to judge the University of Minnesota right now, much like the Twins this season, by what their gates are going to look like or how many people come through, because we're in this pandemic mode. So if they can move the needle some and start to pay back some of what was lost last year, I think that's a good step. But I wouldn't look at just how many people show up for games and say it's a success or failure, because I just think there's too many factors that they have to work around right now.
All right. Hey, we will, we've got Twins baseball coming up tonight. Pregame at 6:30, first pitch just after 7. We will chat with you some more tomorrow. And coming up on the morning news here at News Talk 830 WCCO, conversation with State Senator Paul Gazelka here on WCCO.
On Pod Save the World, we want to be your cheat sheet for global events. My name is Tommy Vitor, and each week, my co-host Ben Rhodes and I break down the biggest stories from around the world. Ben and I both worked on President Obama's national security staff, and we'll introduce you to the activists, politicians, and journalists who can help us understand what's going on around the world, what it means for the United States, and what it's like being inside the White House Situation Room during a crisis.
Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your pods.
The COVID-19 pandemic showed us how a microscopic virus could upend our lives. There is so much out there that we need to understand, but for every threat, there are heroes working at the edges of science and policy to protect us. I'm Dr. Abdul El-Sayed, former Detroit Health Director and host of Crooked Media's America Dissected. Every episode, I talk to the doctors, scientists, culture makers, and policy leaders who are working out new ways to protect us against our biggest threats. New episodes of America Dissected every Tuesday. Listen on Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
For summer barbecues, road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
Hundreds of new exclusive stations, plus all your favorite local radio stations and podcasts. It's all on Odyssey.
Brought to you by Macy's, Geico, and Coke Zero Sugar.